Good morning and welcome to Be at Home by Dawn. Again, this is Dawn and welcome back. So today I'm going to do a recap on the finances, and then I also want to apologize in advance for any background noise. I decided to do this video in a different room, so I'm in my back patio. My husband and I did all the work and closed in this back patio. So we have puppies and birds and going on, and we also live near an airport. So if you hear an airplane, that's what all that is all about. So I just kind of wanted to recap, and then also I'll have some links below, so please make sure that you like and subscribe. I'm going to have the link for the financial advisor I use, and I'll explain that in a little bit, because I did tell you that I did it all by myself, and I did, but I did have him help in other instances. So if you are looking for maybe some professional help, he can probably help you out. All the work I did myself, so I just want to let you know, and also let you know, how real is this? Listen, I'm in this boat with you. I've been there, I've done it. That's going to be, I guess, my motto. But I just want to let you know that I recently just got laid off. So I am in it. I know. So one of the great advantages of doing this debt reduction and being able to get out of debt, put money in savings, or to go on that vacation, whatever you want to do, for things like this, you get laid off. What are you going to do? Right now I did file for unemployment, but unemployment is taking forever and a day. So when you come across these kind of things, I've had a great experience contacting your local representative, your state representatives. And when I emailed them saying, hey, unemployment is taking a lot longer than I think it should be for me to get my first benefit check, they called me that day. Like, they didn't email me back, they called me back. So make sure you take advantage of those kind of situations. I do find that a lot of your local state representatives are very helpful. So let's give a shout out to some of your local representatives. So what I do want to talk about now is just going over a quick recap, a couple questions, okay? So the first one is, were you able to take advantage of any of the advice that I've given? Has any of it helped you? And please comment. I will answer. It might take a day or two for me to realize somebody made a comment, because I'm noticing I'm not getting alerts that a comment's been made. So unless I purposely go in and look to see that there's a comment, or somebody emails me who may know me personally, says, hey, you have comments out there, I'm not alerted. So it might take me a day or two, but I will answer. So on top of that, were you able to contact any of your utility companies? Were they able to help you either with a payment plan or doing things to make your bill a little bit lower? At least this temporary stage in your life when you're trying to get a handle on your finances and get things paid off. Were they able to help you? The other thing is, what were you able to do with your food bill? Was any of that advice helpful? I'm going to put at the end of this video a few little short videos that I did earlier this week. So what happened was that I was supposed to have this video air on Thursday. I like to do it on Thursdays because usually, especially during the summer, my husband and I and our family, usually Fridays after work, we drive down to Delaware to his parents' home, and we spend the weekend down there. We go boating, fishing, crabbing, clamming, the beach. So usually I like to do it Thursdays, so that way I have the weekend where I can kind of, do my family stuff. So I recorded some videos, and when I was editing them, I noticed the sound wasn't right. Like, sometimes it would go really high, sometimes it would go really low. And I'm not really good with editing just yet. I'm still learning, so I wasn't sure how to adjust the sound in the editing part for YouTube. So I figured it would just be easier just to reshoot the whole thing. So I did do it in this room earlier in the week, and I still wanted to do it in this room because I want you guys to see that I'm not stuck in a dark, danky bedroom all the time recording these. I generally do it that way because it's quieter. I can shut the door. Usually in the early mornings when I do these videos, kids are still sleeping, or during the school year they're out at school, or things like that. So I just want to give you that heads up. I'm not stuck in a dark dank room, and I apologize for my video being late. I'm hoping by the time you're seeing this, it's either Friday or maybe late Saturday. I'm hoping. I know it's the holiday weekend, and again, I do apologize. So let me get into my financial advisor. So what happened was, when I was about halfway through my debt reduction path, I had a former employer who had given me, or reached out to me rather, and said they are trying to get rid of the old pensions off their books because they sold the company. And I had a couple of options that I could have chosen, and I didn't know. I never had money before. Like I said before, I've always lived paycheck to paycheck, and sometimes I wasn't living paycheck to paycheck. Sometimes I was robbing Peter to pay Paul. So I happened, like, this is like where things are meant to happen for you. So I happened to be at my chiropractor's office one day, and he was having, what you would call, I don't want to say a job fair, but he was having kind of like a thing where, patients can come in or anybody can come in, and he had a couple different vendors. If you wanted to talk about different things, better health, your finances, he had this finance guy. His name is William Parks, and I'm going to put his link below. And I reached out to him and said, listen, this former company I work for wants to give me my pension. I don't know what to do with it. So he helped me put it in an IRA. I just felt like I was afraid if I took it, one, the tax implications that you would get from cashing it out. Like, I knew enough to know that Uncle Sam wants his penny, and I'm like, I didn't want to do that. I like I said, I was still kind of recovering from a divorce, in the middle of the divorce, things like that, and I just did not need another thing on top of it saying, hey, Uncle Sam wants his share of that money you got. And not that it was a lot, but it was still a decent amount, and I just didn't know what to do. So he did help me. So that's the reason why I have a financial advisor. A lot of the advice when I was talking to him was the stuff that I'm telling you, I was already doing. So I just wanted to give you that part. Now, what I also want to do is kind of get back on the food. I find that's generally the easiest and the hardest thing for people to do when it comes to reducing your bill, because you want food in your house. You want to be able to feed your family. I get that, and I'm all for it. So aside from buying store brands, using coupons, taking advantage of the buy one get ones, going to your farmer's market, taking advantage of the one farmer that I and my cousin were able to hook up with, and where I was able to get a quarter cow and saved I feel a boatload of money. Now I have a freezer full of meat that will probably last me 4 to 6 months depending on our eating habits. So the other one is gardening. Now I will probably later on, maybe come when it's harvest time, like late September, early October, or as maybe things come in a little bit faster in my garden, do some gardening videos. So if you are in the position where you can put in a garden, I do suggest it. And don't just put anything in there. Put stuff that you know you're going to eat. Okay? If you don't, and your family do not like tomatoes, don't put them in. Unless you like spaghetti sauce, you like salsa. There's also one where I did, and like I said, at the end, you're going to see these short little videos I did just to kind of give you a recap of like what I did at the end of last season. So with some of the tomatoes, I made tomato sauce, I made my own salsa, and that's huge because most of the stuff that you use for these things, you grew. So it's free. It's free. So if you grew enough, you have a couple cans or jars full of tomato sauce, salsa, and things like that that are tomato based, that you didn't have to pay for. Yeah, do you have to work for it? Yeah, but if you have a weekend and you're like, you know what, let's just pound these out, you can pound some of this stuff out in, a weekend or two, and if you stage it. So I had jalapenos. I had an abundance last year. So what I did was I took some of them and I cut them up like in little strips and put them in my dehydrator. So now when I need jalapenos for like chili or something like that, I still have fresh jalapenos. They're just dried up, but then they rehydrate in the cooking process. So it's things like that you want to think about. When I want to go back to the tomatoes and things like that, you can make your own barbecue sauce and things like that. I grew an extra amount of peppers this year. Peppers I normally didn't grow, like cayenne, Tabasco, the sweet banana peppers, poblano, and my jalapenos. And some of them I grew them on purpose because, especially with the cayenne and the Tabasco, I don't have to grow them every year. So if I get a good harvest this year, I can make a lot of stuff with that will last me a year or two. So I don't have to grow it every year. Like, I want to make my own buffalo wing sauce. I want to make my own like spicy vinaigrette or Tabasco sauce for some foods, because some of us in the house like our stuff spicy and some of us don't. So I want to be able to give people options in this house. Also, again, back to the tomatoes. I do find, even though people say they don't like them, it's in a lot of stuff we use. So I had an excess of tomatoes, but towards the end, I had a few where I was like, you know what, I can't really make a full batch of tomato sauce or anything with them. So what I did is I sliced them up, I put them in my dehydrator. Then when they were dehydrated, I put them in my food processor and made powder out of them. And then you're thinking, like, what am I going to do with tomato powder? So you can actually take some tomato powder, maybe put some water, a little bit of water in it, and you have your own tomato paste. So that way you're not wasting a big can of tomato paste when you only need a little bit for a recipe. It's great in soups. Things like that. Or if you're making something, you're like, it needs a little something. Throw just like a teaspoon, tablespoon of the tomato powder in there. So that's why my garden got a little bit bigger this year. I added onions and things like that I normally didn't grow. I tried strawberries. I'm really having a hard time with them. So we do have last fall we planted 3 trees, 1 peach, apple, and cherry. And what I mean by cherry, I mean like real like Bing cherry trees, not a cherry tree that blossoms and just looks pretty. And then earlier this summer, I bought another peach, apple, and cherry tree because through some of the research, some of the trees need another tree for it to get pollinated by the bees. So I figured, let me add 1 more of each, so that way I can make sure that in another year or 2 I can harvest some, apples, peaches, and some cherries. Those are the main fruits that my family likes, and I can make a lot of things out of those items. So, those are some things you can think about. Now, the one video I will have at the end, I made it when I was in my t-shirt. I sleep in an oversized, so pardon the frumpiness when you see it. The video is about like how I canned some beef broth that I made the other day. It's not a full-blown canning recipe, so it was just an idea of like how you can use every bit of everything that you have and have no waste. So it was more of like, this is something, it was like an example for you. So if you do decide to do canning, please go to the professionals, look on your state's website for food preparation. Ball has a good website you can go to. So like I said, I just don't want you to take this to heart, like, oh, this is how she does it. Well, a lot of stuff was cut out. I made a bunch of shorts and kind of made it one video. So a lot of stuff was left out. I just want to give you an example. So what happened is I took some soup bones that I bought from the butcher when I got my cow, and they were huge. And in the center was like the bone. So I had all this meat. I did four bones. So when it cooked down, I let it cook down overnight. So in the morning, I took the bones out and I took the meat off of the bones. And then once the bones cooled off, I gave each dog, a bone, and then I froze the other ones. So that way later on, when I want to give them a treat, I have another bone I can give them, and they love them. But then the meat, what I did was I shredded it, I took it off the bone, I put it in a container and put it in my refrigerator. So I was going to use that meat, and which I did do, for dinner. I use it to make beef enchiladas. So nothing got wasted. So all that broth that I had is what I actually canned. So I got 3 things out of just that one part. And I believe in the one video, if it turns out right, you might hear me say something, hey, I might have gotten this from my grandmothers. Both my grandmothers were brought up during the Depression and not to waste anything. So I just hope you enjoy these videos. Next month is July, and I'm going to concentrate on health. And I think everybody needs to focus on health, whether it's physical health or mental health. I believe for July, I'm just going to concentrate on physical health, because that's something that I am struggling with again, and we all do. But please, if you do decide to follow me for the exercise stuff, please make sure you consult your physician or anything like that. Make sure you can do these things. I don't want anyone getting hurt. I don't want anyone doing stuff that maybe they can't for whatever physical or mental issue that may be going on. I'm just trying to help encourage people, let people know, you know what, you're not alone. A lot of us are in there. So please be safe, enjoy your life. Let's get our finances under control so we can enjoy even more, or we can just take worry off the plate, okay? And I think this is actually the first time I did a video without doing a bunch of little videos and trying to make them all little video, one big video. It's so, again, God bless you. Have a great 4th of July weekend. So I have a dehydrator. So what I did was at the end of the season last year, these are jalapeno peppers. I dehydrated them because there's only so much cowboy candy I can make, and I'll go into that when I do a cooking video. But if you have a dehydrator, or you can have the time to cook low and slow in your oven, take some of your garden stuff and dehydrate it. And here's another way to save. So, what I did was, I make my own rub. My husband and I love to smoke, and I make enough rub and I jar it. I make it myself instead of buying it. As you can see, basil from my garden, and I just dehydrated it. Some of the jalapenos I had left over, I dehydrated them, then put them through my food processor and made a powder for them. So in case somebody wants their chili a little extra spicy, or they just like spicy food in general. I did the same thing with taco seasoning. I made my own instead of buying it. And this one here, with your tomatoes. So I dehydrated my tomatoes that I didn't think I had enough to cook down and make a full batch of tomato sauce that I can. So I took those tomatoes, I dehydrated them, put them through my dehydrator, and I made a tomato powder. And you can use this in soups. You can use this, take a little bit of it, add a little bit of water, and make your own tomato paste. It's a great substitute. It's things like this you want to think about. If you can grow it and do it yourself, do it. And off to the garden. So I hope you can see what's going on here. So last year we planted a peach tree an apple tree, and a cherry tree. And then this season I bought one more of each. So some of them are in the front yard, but I can grow my own peaches, apples, and cherries, and I can do a million things with them. I can make applesauce. I can make apple dried bits for people, you know, snacks. So here's my garden. I have a wild amount of mint. I already dehydrated some, so I'm gonna have to dehydrate some more. But look at my potatoes. My potatoes are taking off. They're crazy. Then I have this section here. This is where all my herbs are. And you can even see some of my herbs. I don't know why they're like stunted. Like, I mean, this stuff hasn't even taken off yet. But, you know, maybe this wasn't my year. These are my green beans. So this row here is my peppers, jalapenos, green peppers, Brussels sprouts I'm trying here, some cabbage and some leeks up there, my cucumbers, zucchini. See, here's my tomato plants. Look. See, it's like they stunted. Now some of them are grown. Look, they were all planted at the same time. Here, I tried to grow some ghost peppers. It's one of my son's favorites, the ghost peppers, and I don't think any of the seedlings came up. But I'm leaving it alone for now until I can figure out exactly what is maybe the pepper plant versus weed. So I'm leaving that alone. You know, planted some lettuce here. This is something new I'm doing too, is onions, and my strawberries look like death. But I'm gonna keep on trying, so we'll see. Like I said, and then I have more in the backyard. Let's go into my backyard. Yes, Ori, it's me. It's my puppy. Yes, baby. Yes, baby. So then I have this other raised bed here, and these are even more peppers. So I have Tabasco, cayenne, sweet banana peppers, and then I have this other one. It's a Italian pepper, I forget, and then poblano. So all this stuff I can do. That's just our little garden that we're trying to build. I wanted, like, not necessarily English garden, but I wanted to take up that hill because there was like nothing there. So I do have some free stuff growing up there. I don't know if you could see it. You can close. So I'm not sure. I know it's some kind of either melon or maybe something. If you could see. So last October we carved pumpkins, and I threw some pumpkin seeds over here just to see if we can get some. And then I have this section here where I threw some scraps, and you can see it looks like I'm getting a free tomato plant here. I might be getting some melons and stuff here, so getting some free stuff. We'll see. Good luck. Just a little add-on. You may be wondering why my garden is on the outside of my fence. And that's because we have dogs. And these dogs like to dig. So that's why. Alright, so as an example, I told you I got quarter cow from the butcher. So last night I put in my big crock pot about 4 soup bones that I got from the butcher. So this is another way for money saving ideas. So I cooked it down. It was overnight. So here are the bones and some of the fat that I cut off. And then this was all the meat that I got off of those soup bones. So tonight for dinner, I'm gonna make beef enchiladas. So now what I'm gonna do is I am going to strain all the beef broth from my scrap veggies that I had in here to make beef broth and can it. So I'm going to just do a couple clips of me just showing you how I strain it. So I have my bowl, I have my strainer, and then I have this. So what I do is I just kind of go in here, let some of the drippings come off, put it in there, let it drip off some more, and then whatever drippings come off, we'll go back in here. So see, you can see there's some garlic, celery, onion peels. Those are the kind of things you want to just, when you're cooking your dinners and you're using these items, you just want to put them in a little freezer bag, and then when the bag's full and you have enough, you think enough veggies to make a veggie stock, or you have enough chicken now left in your freezer to make chicken broth with your chicken bones from your chicken dinners that you've made. So this is kind of like how you go about it. So it's like you don't want to waste anything. I'm thinking maybe because my grandmothers both lived through the Depression is where I'm kind of getting this from. You don't waste anything. So let me finish doing this and then I'll come back and show you about the canning. So now that I did the straining, I get my mason jars out. I had them soaking in hot water while I was prepping everything because you want it to be kind of the same temperature of what you're putting in there. And then what I do is I take my big mouth and I take another small strainer to get any of the bits that I may have got, any of the bits that I may have missed. And then I just get my ladle and just pour it in. Like so. Look how beautiful that beef broth is. Now you want to check with your state health department. But usually you want to do at least ½ inch headspace, and then you want to pressure cook it since it's meat. Meat you'll always have to pressure cook. So I'm going to fill the rest of these up and then show you the next step. So now that I have my broth in my jars, I take a paper towel, I get a little bowl of regular vinegar, and I just make sure I wipe the edges. Sorry for all the noise. I have my dehydrator going. I'm dehydrating some mint. I gave the puppies some of the bones. Like I said, we don't waste anything. You know, that helps on money saving costs. And also, I skipped a step that I forgot to mention. You want to drain off as much of the fat as you can. I mean, you're going to get some, and that's okay. But, you know, remember, strain off some of your fat as best you can. So now I'm going to go to my sink and get my my lids out. I had them soaking in hot water. You don't need to do that according to the new bowl regulations. I do it just, you know, while I'm keeping the jars hot, might as well get them hot too. So I just do it for me. So let me get those out and get them going, and then we'll get them in the canner. So now, as you can see, I'm putting my stuff in my canner. I'm only doing 8 jars at a time. And then I'll show you the next step. Hold on. So, got the 8 jars in there. And then I'm going to put my lid on. So sorry about that. I'm just like one person and I only have the one camera for now. This isn't a full canning video. This is just a way to show you how I do debt reduction and try not to waste anything. So please double check with your state and your altitude websites on food preservation. So I have the 8 jars in here. I have my burner on high. So when we get steam coming out of here, and when it comes out and it's coming out for a solid 10 minutes, then you could put your weight on based on your altitude's requirements, okay? So like I said, it's not a full-blown canning recipe, so don't take it at heart that I may have skipped some stuff. I'm just trying to show you the things that I've done to save money at the grocery store and not to waste money. And then I'm going to try to do an add-on to show you the beef enchiladas that I'm making from the beef that I took off the soup bones that I got from the butcher. So I'm getting a lot of meals out of just soup bones. So I'm getting beef broth that you probably pay what, $4 or $5 a quart for, and I have 8 in there, and I still have more broth to do. And then I'm also getting a meal for my family out of the meat that was on the bones. So I'm hoping these videos find you well, and I hope these help you out. And stay tuned for the enchilada making. See, mistakes happen too. I don't know if you can see this. I have a lot of water. There's the puppy. He's 8 months old. Say hi, Ori. So we keep the dog bowl on pee pads because he's a sloppy drinker. This is not from him. This is from this. So every morning I water our garden, and I was doing that while I was, showing you the canning stuff for the beef broth. I had my windows all the way down, so that was water coming in from my sprinkler. So like I said, this is real life. This happens. So now I have to get a towel and clean this up.